Welcome into the Johnny Mize Center Cave Arena here in Demorest, Georgia for a CCS Conference showdown between the visiting Maryville Scots and your Piedmont Lions. Once again, welcome into Cave Arena, everybody. Eric Evanson, so happy to be with you. Alongside me is my partner, Simon Johnstone. And Simon, this is the game we've been circling ever since December.
Yeah, look, we thought really highly about this Piedmont Lions team. We still do. They've come into this matchup now with the best record, 9-11 overall, losing their last 5 straight. But there's one thing we know about this Lions roster. They're determined to fight back. They've got a really good test here tonight against Maryville.
Absolutely, and part of that losing streak for the Lions, there was a series of losses that were just 1 point here, 2 points there. They just could not get the final bucket across. Now, we'll be the first to tell you, this is not a defensive-minded team. They are going to try to score you out of the building, but defense has to be at the forefront of a couple of key members of the Lions, Javi Marlowe mainly, when you're dealing with a guy like Reed Kemp.
Yeah, speaking of Reed Kemp, averaging 24 points heading into this matchup. He had the Lions number last time out when these two teams matched up, so it's going to be an interesting dynamic. As we know, with many loyal viewers, head coach Greg Neely, his defensive scheme with that 2-1-2 zone might not be the answer tonight, given the fact that it leaves shooters open. So interesting to see defensively how the Lions set up to shut down Kemp.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be looking for something completely different. But on the offensive end, I don't think we have any woes about what the Lions are doing on offense. In fact, they are beating the Scots by just 1 point in the scoring category. They're scoring 82.9 points per game. The Scots scoring 81. So there is a differential between these two squads, but it's by the narrowest margins, because especially when you look at the next further stat breakdowns in opponents' points per game, field goal percentage, three-point percentage, the Scots are leading all of that, but a lot of that is due to Reed Kemp. So, Simon, let me ask you a question. In your thought process, in your mind, is it better to let Reed Kemp beat you and focus on the rest of the team, or are you looking to put the clamps on Reed?
Well, look, it's an interesting question, because another aspect we need to discuss is the height differential that the Lions are giving up. They've dealt with this all season, but it is always a point of concern. Maryville has a couple guys north of 6'7", one even 6'10", so a lot of height on the side of the Scots. So Piedmont can have to answer some interior questions, but like you asked, primary focus number one, objective number one has to be shutting down Reed Kemp.
Going to put the clamps on him is going to be objective number one per Simon Johnson. I'm sure Coach Neely would definitely like to agree with him. There you go, Simon. Give you a little bit something to do.
Uh-oh.
Decent little roll. But like we said, this is going to be a showdown of the biggest proportions, because even if the Lions are coming in on a skid, even if the Lions haven't been playing well in their past couple games, they know when the time is to show up, and they're not strangers to this situation. If you recall back to last year, the Lions started off really cold in the CCS, and they were able to get it going towards the end, but that took an MVP-type performance from Ryan Jolly. But the Lions do have a couple players, maybe not of the MVP caliber, but yeah, put them together, they can certainly perform. Fisher Darden, Bailey Wiseman, and you can't forget about the Herculean effort that was put forth last time he stepped forth on these hardwood floors by Dylan Patrick.
Yeah, Dylan Patrick has had multiple career highs this season already. Bailey Wiseman had one himself a few weeks ago, so their offense has these spark plugs that can really ignite and get on a scoring rampage. Defensively, it needs to be generating turnovers for the Lions. They're a team that can get a lot of steals when they're hot. When we see that happen, they can burst open a 10 to 12 point run immediately. But the Lions need to be able to look to counterattack. But like you said, playing through those stars, Darden, Wiseman, Patrick, even Marlowe can fall into that category of star for the Lions. These 4 guys can really step up and potentially make some noise here tonight.
Now, something to mention for you right now is that the Lions are a fast team. They're a fast team. They're a well-conditioned team. However, when you burn that much gas on the court, you're going to need to stop off for a refuel every once in a while. And the Lions right now are going to have some bench questions with Zach Exley and Trip Thompson both being unavailable for this game. And they're going to be looking for a big game out of a guy that gets a lot of hops, a lot of speed on his side as well. They're going to look for a big game out of Israel Hall.
Yeah, and Izzy Hall, he's stepped up very significantly in his sophomore campaign. He's got a couple minutes, couple looks here and there in his freshman year, but sophomore year, consistent minutes. He's averaging over 5 points a game consistently, giving some offensive boost. And when you see him driving to the rack, you don't know if he's going over you, you don't know if he's going around, you don't know if he's going through you. He can also finish at the line. So he poses a ton of questions for the Scots defense, and I'm just glad he's on our team.
I'm glad you mentioned the line there, Simon, because the Lions have the Scots beaten that category. 76% from the free throw line to 70% for the Scots. So if the Lions, Dylan Patrick mainly, you mentioned Israel Hall, a couple other Lions also take it to the line themselves, Silas Mulligan and Javi Marlowe, they're very good in that regard. If you can continue to rack up points from there, that's 2 points. That's just as good from shooting inside the arc, Simon.
Yeah, absolutely. Just letting the play fall into your hands. We know the Lions and how aggressive they can be on the offensive side. It's making sure on the defensive side, not letting the Scots find themselves to the line as much. They've done well, I would say, just by the eye test, beating them marginally in terms of heading to the free throw line. We see the women's team do that as well here at Piedmont. Very good at winning the fouls drawn battle and as well the free throw battle.
Absolutely. Going to give you a quick rundown of what the CCS standings are looking like right now. Bellhaven leads all of conference 7-0. They've had a fantastic run to start off their season. Huntington behind them at 5-1, and tied right there with Huntington is Maryville, who is warming up directly behind us. Covenant behind them 2-3 as the drop-off goes from there. And then Piedmont 2-6 again. A couple of those losses coming in heartbreakers in this very arena. And the Lions are going to look to flip the script. Get to that in just a second. But Asbury right below them, 1-5, and 1-7 is LaGrange. Now I mentioned flipping the script. This has been a historically dominant series for Maryville. They are 37-10 against the Lions.
Yeah, it's been in favor of the Scots pretty consistently. It wasn't a close contest last time out, but the Lions have the cave to their advantage. We celebrated some CCS Cup championships for the school, men's and overall, went the way of Piedmont University. So a lot of other student athletes filling up the cave, ready to get loud for your home team Lions.
Absolutely. Well, the Lions are getting ready to get going with action in about 8 minutes, 30 seconds. We'll rejoin you at the top for play-by-play action live from Cave Arena. Go grab a Lion family member, a friend, or whoever you think's going to enjoy some dang good college basketball, because that's what we're about to have here on YouTube. Welcome into the Pride in Demorest, Georgia for CCS conference action between the visiting Maryville Scots and your Piedmont Lions. Once again, everybody, welcome into Cave Arena here in Demorest. Eric Evanson alongside Simon Johnstone, Peter Sly on the camera this evening for us. And Simon, like we mentioned in the pregame for this game, this is the game we circled all the way back in December.
Yeah, absolutely. We thought the Lions were going to come into this with a ton of momentum. It's actually the opposite, 5-game losing skid, but this is the opportunity. This is the game where the Lions can start to make a move to the postseason with some momentum. They're coming in against, like you mentioned, the third-place team in the CCS, Maryville Scots. Lions sitting a little bit below that at 2-6 in the conference. So Piedmont, they need to start winning games, and what a great opportunity here tonight to do so in front of their home fans.
Yes, indeed. And the Lions, and I talked with one of the Lions this morning, talking about this big contest, and he said, "Man, it just feels like if we can just get one." If we can get one, it moves everything out of the way. The Lions have had many scoring frustrations, not in the sense of scoring, but in the fact that they just cannot get that win. It's 2 points, 3 points, 5 points away every single night. They're just missing that big bucket. Go ahead and give you the starting lineups for both squads. For the visiting Scott, Simon, why don't you kick us off?
Absolutely. Number 13 forward, Chase Morgan. Alongside him, the man who you're going to have to keep your eyes on as well as the Lions defense. Number 1, Reed Kemp, coming with 24 points per game. Number 2, pairing alongside him in the backcourt, Kobe Franklin. Rounding up the starting 5 is number 10, Javi Rosell. And finally, number 12, Kyle Cloninger.
And Coach Neely sends this out. Coach Neely entering his 12th season, or being in his 12th season here at Piedmont. This is how his starting 5 looks. The graduate student, the veteran, Griffin Neville, will take it up. All guards, go ahead and give you a spoiler alert, all guards getting started here for the Lions. Javi Marlowe is right behind him. He leads the team in rebounds. Bailey Wiseman, they can be very hot. Let's hope we can get a volcanic eruption from Bailey this evening. Dylan Patrick, mentioned him in the pregame. The spin cycle is going to be very, very important tonight in the paint. And of course, the junior now, it seems like, but he seems like he's been good for as long as he's been here, because he has, Fisher Darden.
Yeah, Fisher Darden just plays with such experience. I thought he was leaving the roster last year before I had to double check.
He played like an upperclassman last year.
Absolute poise, experience, and he's so comfortable under pressure. We're going to see him handle a fair amount of the balls here today. He's going to be one of those dominant ball handlers, and well, when he gets an open space, whether it's on a pick and pop, driving inside, he can also facilitate very well. This Lions team more than comfortable working with each other to find the open man.
And something I'd like to see from Fisher tonight, and I've kind of been saying this all year long, not to press my thoughts on how the team should play, but I really want to see Fisher get under there and get some boards. You know, he's going to be matched up with some big guys from Maryville. Be physical right there. You know, don't show any hesitation to get in there and get your ball.
And look, we talked about rebounding. It hasn't really been a point of concern for the Lions because players like Griffin Neville and Javi Marlowe are throwing themselves into there. Javi Marlowe leading the team 6.5 rebounds a game. You have players who are stepping up, filling what seems to be a missing role of a big man. And if you can get Darden to join in with them, then all of a sudden you turn from a mediocre rebounding team to maybe that being one of your strong suits.
Piedmont 9-11 overall on the year, a losing streak of 5 heading back home tonight. They've been on the road, but of course a couple of those losses, like we mentioned, coming here in Cave Arena in absolute heartbreaking fashion. The last game we saw here comes to mind immediately with Dylan Patrick really just playing through something. I'm not sure what Patrick was dealing with that night, but he had fallen on his lower back early in the game and continued to play through, got the team high on points. He had a chance to put the game away, but the floater just went up wide. Teams getting announced here. Again, we'll give you the starting 5 for Maryville real quick. It's Morgan, Kemp, Franklin, Rosell, Cloninger. Cloninger. And then for the Lions, it's Neville, Marlowe, Wiseman, Patrick, and Darden. And we mentioned in the pregame, Simon, that the bench is going to be very important tonight for the Lions because they're going to be playing 100 miles an hour out of the gate.
Yeah, flying, fast-paced, and not at their full typical number. Like you mentioned in the pregame, Zach Exley, Trip Thompson, both unavailable for tonight's contest. You see them get a hefty share of minutes coming off the bench for the Lions. So Piedmont not dealing with extended stretches out on the court. They fly high pace and almost seems like they could go out and run a marathon with how well conditioned they are. But tonight will definitely be a tough test against a team that will also match their pace and start to push the tempo.
Maryville's starting five looks like they're matched up pretty well stature-wise with the Lions, as both teams shake hands with the coaches as we get ready for action in the cave. Good crowd here. We just had the Commissioner's Cup ceremony. Simon, you're a student athlete. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that, but a little bit quick.
Well, the Commissioner's Cup basically calculates how successful each team in the sport is throughout their season. So you get points based off your finish in conference as well as the postseason. This year, Piedmont was fortunate enough to win the overall between men's and women's combined point totals as well as this men's.
Well, we are. Yes, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. I love that. Gets us in and out, gets us some good information. Javi Marlowe matched up with Morgan as we are underway in the cave. This one back to the corner. Good job by Wiseman to get right back on it. And the Lions will push for the first bucket. Patrick right at the timeline, measuring here. Good defense here by the Scots early on. Lions trying to find a way to break it. And, good job by Patrick to get that ball back into his palms. Outside, Marlowe cuts through, loses the ball, regains it, and the shot clock goes off. So fantastic defense by Maryville to kick off the game, Simon.
Yeah, high press defense from Maryville. Just no breathability. One instance to point out is Reed Kemp really pressing Bailey Wiseman. Barely got a dribble off, so keep an eye number 1 and number 10 in tonight's matchup.
Yeah, we figured that Kemp and Wiseman would be matched up pretty heavily, as right under the bucket is Morgan. He scores it, and it's 2-0, the Scots. Wiseman facing off with Kemp. Darden pushes the way through, top of the key, now hands it off to Javi. Neville. Lions just struggling to breach through. Marlowe's thinking three. Hey, Marlowe's in for three as the Lions snatch the lead. Hey, if that's a sign for things to come this evening, I want all of it.
Javi Marlowe just 30% from beyond the arc, so what a way to kick off.
Hey, 30%'s better than nothing. Marlowe, good defense there as he'll be able to block that shot. Body block, should say, as Wiseman collects the rebound. Bailey over to Neville. Back to Darden. Javi already showed he's got a hot hand to start off the game. Neville pushes his way in, but has to cross back out. Lions under 10 seconds on the shot clock. Wiseman got to move fast here. Goes for the jumper. It's high in the air. Too big of an arc there to fall through the bottom, as it'll be rebounded by Franklin. And Franklin taking it all the way to the baseline as he'll kick it off to Russell. Morgan. And around the horn they go as Cloninger gets his hands on the ball. And first three attempt for Maryville is going to get off the back of the iron and rebounded by Patrick. DP hands it off to Fisher. Fisher's thinking net, and it won't go through. Had us waiting in anticipation, but Reed Kemp grabs the board and pushes his way into the paint, puts up a floater, and it's a pretty one as it rocks its way through.
Look, the Lions are going to need to shoot tonight. They're going to have to space the floor, especially with how high up these Scots are playing them. They have to take opportunities when given to them. But on the defensive end, that's back-to-back pretty easy buckets for the Scots. So the Lions need to answer some questions here early on defense.
Patrick showing the strength as he just muscles through a pair of Scots to get to the ring. 5-4. To the corner, pushing his way through here. Scots take a shot from the paint, and it drops right through. Good job by Kobe Franklin, who's shown he's got some skill with the ball handling early on. He's able to cut through this Lions defense, something to look out for. Darden goes over to Neville. Neville thought about three, then kicks it back out to DP. Lions behind by 1 point. Marlowe over to Neville. Neville's thinking three. It's off the front of the rim. Now it kicks away. Fast break here by Maryville. Patrick down to greet him, but the block is not going to be good enough as it goes off the glass and in. So a lead grows. It's the largest lead of the night for either squad. As Neville carries the ball, and spotty defense there by Morgan, and he's going to get hit with a foul there on Marlowe.
And that's the risk you run with that high press defense. Sometimes a little too physical. It's going to depend on the refs, what's clean and what's a little bit too much. But right there, good just ball control by Javi Marlowe, able to keep himself composed as Silas Mulligan. Bit of an early substitution here, Eric. Griffin Neville going to take a breather in just about 3 and change action.
Don't mind that substitution there, getting Silas, getting his feet wet early on. We don't usually see Mulligan until a little bit later, and Bailey from the corner as the Lions have tied this one up. This one, jumper, no good, rebounded by Mulligan. Silas tracking his way down. He looked like he was going to try to spear his way through a 4 stack of Scots, but thought otherwise. Wiseman, ever the aggressor, tries to fling it up and a little bit off the wide side there. I think that flick off the wrist is just a little bit too much. 3 is no good, but it's rebounded to a wide open Scott squad, and hey, Fisher says thank you very much. Fast break by Mulligan. Mulligan proposes to the ring and spins it in.
Talk about a composed finish. My goodness, Mulligan lost it midair. Able to recollect it and just get enough English.
Someone checked the orbit on that ball. This one inside, and it's going to be kept in by Fisher. Excellent job. Darden showing some balance. See if he can show some more here. And there's going to be another foul. So we're going to have a timeout here. I believe that's going to be our... This should be immediate, yeah? Yeah, should be. So it looked like, too, that we were going to have a substitution there. It looked like Caleb Lesh, who's getting a bigger role this year, is going to come into the game with the Lions up 10-8. You know, have been some rough sides, some open guys, but look, if you're going to play Maryville like this the rest of the way, I think you trust your guys.
Absolutely, and a lot of trust already being exhibited through Bailey Wiseman. He's been the primary guy so far, and he knocked down a corner 3. You start to feel good. He drove inside. It was a great look. Just better defense. So offensively, Lions starting to push it, starting to recognize how to defeat that high press. And on the defensive end, like I mentioned in the beginning, a couple of easy looks, but since then it's really turned into a better defensive game outside of that misboxed out that turned into a turnover for the Scots. Lions have really cleaned it up on both ends of the floor.
I love the physicality displayed by the Lions in the other side of the paint. They're not afraid to go up against these guys. Now, eventually, Maryville is going to get their big guys in. It's going to happen. Maintain that physicality. Don't be afraid, because Maryville's shown that they, the fouls might happen a little bit tonight. Both teams will exit the huddle. Head coach Raul Placeres for Maryville. An early scoring update, as it looks like you were right, Simon. Bailey Wiseman leads all scorers with 5.
That number more than likely to balloon. I'm not going to give any hot takes, especially given my history, but I will say.
Hey now, Simon, that commentator's curse is not friendly to you.
Oh, it is not.
Patrick getting ready to inbound. It finds Lesh. Wiseman taking a seat on the bench. Like that move, too, because, Bailey, admittedly, by himself, he'll say, sometimes I get a little gas. Sometimes I get my head over my heels a little bit. So having him rest early, especially when he's the hot hand, is a good plan right now, I believe, for Coach Neely. As that one's rebounded by Kemp. Good job by Mulligan. Great display to throw the hands up and say, hey, I'm not touching him. But Patrick, unfortunately, looks like he's going to get hit with a foul here.
And look, I love that matchup decision by Coach Craig Neely, putting Silas Mulligan, who's such an aggressor on the defensive end. He's going to make Reed Kemp earn every single ball. I think a little too much upper body, cutting off his path might have been the reasoning for Mulligan to get pinned with it, but I am a fan of Coach Craig Neely's decision to put Mulligan on Kemp.
Yeah, it's a good idea, and correction, like Simon said, that foul was given to Mulligan, not Patrick. This one kicked back out to the corner, and a 3 attempt here is not going to be as, man, look at the hops on Javi Marlowe. If you can't tell how amped up these Lions are for this game, just watch the contest that's unfolding right now as that physicality in the paint continues to show promise. And already 3 fouls for the visiting squad.
And it was 2 ticky-tack fouls at start. Now Lions able to get inside, and when you already have 3, like you said, 14 minutes in this first half, It's a really good indication that Lions might be finding their way to the line towards the end of this first.
And the Lions, there's something that I think got away from them during this losing streak. They're not using their speed to their advantage. Listen, speed is great for fast breaks, but speed's also great to discombobulate your opponent. As Jalen Green will step in. Junior out of Knoxville, Tennessee. He's wearing number 0. And that one will land through. He's joined by Colin Smith, the sophomore from Statesboro. Green takes this one, hands it off to Smith. Smith has to get it out, and man, oh man, that was a rough one. Simon, what did you see? I was watching the ball.
Offensive foul, Kemp begging, demanding. That's Mulligan holding his jersey. He's the second one to react. That's going to lead to an offensive foul. It's not always who does it first. It's who the ref sees, and right there, Kemp infuriated getting pinned with that offensive foul, and Mulligan smiling, clapping, still talking to Kemp. So just Mulligan continuing to do his job in the defensive end.
You said you liked the matchup, Simon. And it's bearing fruit already. Here's Javi. 15 seconds on the shot clock. Lions spinning the corner. From the Cave Arena logo. Good physical move by Darden. Has to kick back out to Lesh. Now under 10. It's at 5. And oh my goodness, Javi Marlowe is blitzing the defense. Marlowe, probably the most ever-present two-way player that the Lions have, as this is a floater that does go up good. That ends that impressive run for the Lions.
Yeah, Lions turned it into a 7-0 run, eventually short-ended by the Scots, but Marlowe, number one reason why, as once again gets inside, draws the foul, but referee gonna turn it on Javi Marlowe instead, gonna say contact to the head, so what turned into a potentially explosive play has now cut a bit of the momentum from the Lions off.
And if you're the Lions, you cannot let that deter you. You have to keep the momentum up as Jamal Ware has come into the game. He'll inbound it to Green. Substitution looks like that Neville, Marlowe's out, so Neville's back in his spot. The newcomer flings this one up, and no foul called, as that one just a little bit too wild off the hands. Fisher to Lesh, who is all alone and can't convert it. A little bit too much English on that one as it spins out of the rim. Green cuts to the basket, uncontested, and gets a foul. Ooh.
And just poor miscommunication there. Darden and Lesh left the primary ball handler, went to go cover Morgan, and easy as you like, walks inside and not only gets 2, puts ahead of the line for a 3-point opportunity. So total sign of miscommunication there from what's been a very strong defensive unit for the Lions.
And Lesh is going to take a seat on the bench after that one. Israel Hall coming in, as well as Bailey Wiseman. And here's the thing with the Lions, you never dislike when one swaps out for the other. They're all very solid players. It's just a matter of putting it together at the right time. That shot will go in and out. It was rebounded momentarily by Maryville, and that ball is going to stay with the Lions.
Just a little too aggressive there by Colin Smith. Reaches around Griffin Neville, and Lions just drawing another foul, number 5 against the Scots.
Izzy over to Neville. That's going to be a Lions ball. Good effort there by Chase Morgan to try to chase that one out and grab it. But sometimes they just fall into your lap and you can't do anything about it. You just got to call it how you see it. Israel Hall is going to inbound it here. Hall searching, finds Neville. Griffin in the paint, gets blocked, tried to leap up for the rebound. Everyone juggling for this one, and it's going to be Maryville that eventually comes away with it. Fantastic show of effort there by Ware. Jamal Ware pointing, directing traffic right now. Gives it off to Morgan. Ooh, good job by Mullen and kind of give him a test. Morgan, what a job by Chase Morgan to spin his way and still get a foul and the bucket. He can't do nothing there but applaud.
Just an absolutely tough finish from the 6'5" forward, and it's all you can do defensively for the Lions. They did everything they could. Unfortunately, just a little too much height, a little too much efficiency from Chase Morgan. And one thing I want to bring up, Eric, is on the offensive side for the Lions, we're noticing a significantly stark difference in efficiency when it comes to the Lions pushing with tempo versus having to set up in their half-court offense. When they get to the half-court, Maryville able to sit down and really limit any offensive looks. And whereas when the Lions are finally flowing, they have the opportunities to get inside. We saw Marlowe good, we saw Darden good, Wiseman as well. So it's going to be interesting how the Lions are able to break open the Scots on the half-court side.
Lions found themselves ahead by a good margin, but now it's all tied up at 14. So the Lions' run came to a premature ending. We thought it would continue, but that foul that got placed back on Javi Marlowe, really the sticking point right now. This was our under 12 media timeout, so 11:52 left in this first half. Again, like I said, all tied up. And haven't gotten the updated stats just yet, but Lions doing a decent job as of right now to keep hold of Reed Kemp. Kemp just 2 points so far on the night. And the Lions looking to continue doing good work. Everyone back out on the court. Chase Morgan's going to take it to the line after his foul-winning bucket. He won the foul. Hey, that one's going to roll off the rim and right into the hands of Israel Hall. Hall, first time really touching the ball here. See if we can see that trademark speed. Hey, Neville's thinking long. It's off the back of the iron and rebounded by Kemp. This one to the corner. Three-point attempt. Wow. Swish right through. Smooth for Malachi Chip. Patrick directing traffic as the Lions look to slow this one down. Arturo Overton looking like he's ready to come in. Wiseman pushing his way through, battling Kemp. Step back, jumper, floater, fade. No good as it spins in and out. Rebounded. Foul called. Don't know who that was against just yet. It's going to be against Bailey. And that's something big too. Bailey, I believe sometimes he'll get into a little bit of foul trouble. So he's just got to be careful of pick his battles.
Yeah, and that one, a little bit of a ticky-tack foul. It's just slight contact on Kemp, but Wiseman pegged for just his first personal. But now, Lions matching the Scots team fouls, both with 5.
Yep, and they came in a slew. Arturo Overton is back into this game. He checks in for Dylan Patrick. Morgan trying to be physical, spins a little bit too much, gets too fancy, and Marlowe seals it away. Javi Marlowe, oh my goodness, what a move! You call that a reverse Euro step to the glass? He just did it. Referee asked for that ball back. It is going to be Maryville's ball still. The Lions thought that he had poked it out somewhere. Maybe they were able to get one of those turnovers, but no. Maryville, that's Javi Russell, or Javi Russell, excuse me.
The Lions are making it tough on the Scots in the defensive end, but Scots just happening to hit these big shots. Still 60% from the field, 9 of 15 as a team.
Wiseman with the ball, tries to duck it over to Javi, and thank goodness he's got some sticky tack on them fingers as Overton from the corner overshoots the rim by a healthy margin. Rebounded by Maryville. Here's Reed Kemp, 2 on him, has to push his way into the paint, puts up a floater, and yeah, he's going to get hit with a foul there. Pretty clear one there. I believe that's going to be on Arturo. Yeah, it's going to be on Overton, his first. Lions 6th, as they have piled up as of late.
Another thing to pick up about this defensive scheme with Coach Greg Neely is that's the 4th primary defender against Kemp. So not only are we seeing a lot of these quick fire substitutions, but it's also changing up who's guarding their best player, which is giving them Kemp, forcing him to give a lot of different looks, different sizes, abilities, and it's shutting Kemp down for the most part. He's got 3 points to pair with his 3 assists, make that 4 points now. But in 10 minutes of action, knowing what he's capable on the offensive end, I'd say so far it's a job well done. Now it's just about shutting down the other Scots.
Arturo, a good job to bounce back from that one. Sorry to cut you off there, Simon. But the Lions down a little bit here, looking to battle back. Arturo inside to Javi. That was a risky maneuver. Javi had 3 on him, and he tried to dump it off quick to Bailey. But I think did that get tipped on its way by? I believe that's what they're going to say. So, bit of luck for the Lions. Arturo finds Javi. Marlowe's been hot tonight. Javi with 3 seconds on the shot clock. Now Arturo, you got to take the shot. Lions maybe caught up a little bit too much in the scheme, forgot how much time was left there, and just could not get the ball out of the corner.
And the second shot clock violation that's going to go against Piedmont.
Jackson Houston, the freshman, comes into this contest. A huge spot for the freshman. Arturo Overton comes out. Dylan Patrick comes in. What does this tell you that Coach Neely is treating this game like?
Throwing everything in the kitchen sink, just trying to do whatever's possible. And I like Houston's involvement here. Adds a little bit of height and what you'll likely see, some serious athleticism.
Good job for the Lions to get that one back. This one dumped off to Mulligan. Good job to hang on to that ball. Now Bailey calls for it. Wiseman patrolling, has to hand it off. Lions around the horn, go back out to Mulligan. Piedmont trying to break through the paint, and Houston is called for a foul there, could not complete it. So it's going to be on number 13, that is Chase Morgan. That'll be his 2nd foul. Reed Kemp talking with the referee. Doing the team captain role of just watching out for his teammate as that first one from Houston lands. And that's something that comes into play right now, Simon, is that the Lions pride themselves as a good team from the line.
Yeah, Lions always consistent. That knocks down 2 for Houston, who came into this just 50%. Not many stats to go off of 3 of 6 heading into the contest, but yeah, Lions usually don't leave many points on the table when it comes to the charity stripe.
This one knocked out of the air, and trying to keep that in did Javi Marlowe. You know, why not? Try that one. It's going to stay with Maryville. Here to inbound it is Javi Russell. No look. Bounce pass to Reed, who's got double coverage on him. Puts up a floater, and it wings in and out right into the hands of Houston. Marlowe, he's got 1 3 tonight. This one in and out of the rim. Maybe had a little bit too much force behind it, as it couldn't touch net before it touched metal. And a good spin move to the bucket by Smith. As now the lead has widened. It's 23-18. Lions still have fight in this game. They just got to start punching back. Mulligan looked like he was thinking 3, spin maneuver, gets the foul. And if that's where the Lions want to make their money tonight, then they got to keep doing that.
Now Lions able to continuously work inside as we hit yet another media timeout. And well, look, for Piedmont, getting inside needs to be their name of the game, but another thing we need to keep an eye on is taking open looks when they're available, because to the Scots' credit, they're not giving the Lions a lot of open looks. So I'm not opposed to a couple of early shot clock jump shots, seeing if some things will fall. I liked the 3-pointer by Marlowe, but I actually want to see more of that from the Lions, as the offense starting to get a little one-dimensional, trying to work inside. It does get them in the bonus, though, as that's foul number 7 against Maryville. So it'll be interesting dynamic with the last 7:45 to go here in the first.
Maryville at 7, Lions at 6 in terms of fouls. The Lions still trail 23-18. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching Piedmont Lions basketball on YouTube. Welcome back inside Cave Arena. Eric Evanson alongside Simon Johnstone. Peter Sly on the camera to my right as Silas Mulligan gets ready to take it to the stripe. And Simon, we just got the updated stats here, and you know what? The Lions now have a new leading scorer, and that's Javi Marlowe. He's been doing a great job this evening.
Yeah, Javi Marlowe seriously has stepped up to the plate in a role that he typically doesn't fill. Not that he's not a good offensive player, it's just that normally some more, you know, the Wiseman pops up, Dylan Patrick will pop up, even the occasional Fisher Durden. Javi Marlowe, more of that glue guy, more of a Draymond Green prototype where he's able to really cover a plethora of different abilities. And, well, he's covering one today, and that is just filling up the scoreboard. 7 points so far in this early action.
Good job by Houston to leap up and get that one back. Hey, the big man's thinking three. It's off the iron. Mulligan tries to rip that out of the air, and they're going to say that Silas touched that on the way out. Coin flip. So getting it back here is Maryville. Jamal Ware handed it off to Green, who's patrolling right now. Green pushed his way, but good job by the Lions to fill up the paint. Here's a three-pointer here from Kemp. It's off the front of the rim. Oh my goodness, what an effort from Kyle Cloninger. That's as athletic of a play as you'll see on the hardwood, as Mulligan has to be faced up here with the big, tall Colin Smith, and he's going to come down happy with a foul.
That's the third Scott with 2 personal fouls already. Again, it's 5, so unless one of those guys gets to 3 before the half, no real concerns yet for Maryville, but Mulligan just doing what he does best, and that's getting inside, drawing contact, and getting himself to the free throw line.
And Silas makes good on one. See if he can make good on the other. Maybe get some get back from his last trip to the line. Two for 2 for 22. As the Lions have chopped the lead down, they're now 2 behind. It's a 1-score game. A 1-possession game, I should say. There's a good cut there by Maryville as they press their way through the paint, but they got 12 seconds on the shot clock, plenty of time. They kick back out. They're thinking 3 from the corner. Here it is. It's not going to fall through, but there's still a chance to rebound it, and they will. Patrick will draw a foul there. He tries to shut down that slap from Cloninger, and right there, you know, you let Maryville dance around too much in your house, and you have to get overly aggressive there.
Well, look, I loved that defensive possession by the Lions. They were switching. That's what you do when you have a roster like Piedmont has, where you have 5 guys who can really guard 1 through 5, as long as there's not, you know, a Trip Thompson out there, 6'10", to have to deal with. So Lions able to just continuously rotate, not give the Scots much of a chance to shoot. It really just boiled down to getting a defensive board and closing out what was a beautiful defensive possession. Instead, Scots still have an opportunity to put some points on the board.
Here comes the 6'9" Keith Williams as that next free throw is knocked down for Maryville. Number 35, Keith Williams again.
Also breaking into a zone, it looks like. 3-2 for that matter.
Fisher wants 3. And a good rebound by Mulligan. Tries to throw it up again, but the Lions on the second try unable to convert as they still remain a 2-possession game behind. 3-point attempt here. It's going to be short, but there is Keith Williams. It's all blocked up, and a good job by Houston to come out of the scramble with the ball. Now Bailey on the runaway and can't get it to the glass clean. As Reed Kemp and Maryville will sweep it away again. Kemp found an opening, but now gets cut off. Good triple coverage here by the Lions. Now the Scots, they take some time on that clock. Cloninger pushes his way in, bounce pass trying to find Williams, and the Lions steal it away. Patrick getting cut off there. Good defense by Maryville, but Patrick not to be denied.
He may be a lefty, but that was right up his alley with the right hand, able to finish on both sides of the rim.
Oh, that's a good one. Three-pointer here by Reed Kemp, trying to spoil the move, but he won't. And yeah, that's gonna be a Piedmont ball. Good to hear the Cave rocking this evening. Again, we had the Commissioner's Cup presented earlier this evening, which, Simon, you're a student athlete. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It was
hey,
me,
Peter,
myself,
you're
and
a student athlete too. Congratulations. And here I am.
As a student.
They call me a NARP is what they call me.
I don't use such language.
I don't like that word. It sounds bad. It sounds like a bad word. Patrick takes it across half court. Neville and Patrick playing hot potato. As Darden's going to come away with this one, kicks over to Houston. Houston wants three again, and the big man has landed. The Lions have stolen the lead away for the second time tonight. Now it's just about holding it and gaining a lead. Big Keith Williams getting blocked up by Jackson Houston. That one off the arm of Marlowe, unintentional block, and it's going to stay with the with Maryville.
Just another wonderful defensive effort. Lions really starting to find their own at the defensive end, shutting down what we know is a very offensively strong team in Maryville and just making life miserable. Yet another defensive swap against Kemp, and what we thought would be a domination effort by number 35 for Maryville, Keith Williams, has actually turned into a short stint out on the floor for him as he heads back to the bench.
It's going to be the 8th foul for the Lions. This one placed against Neville. It's going to be his second, sending Reed Kemp to the line. Listen, this is the guy you don't want at the line, right? Because he's still going to shoot well. He's just a good shooter. As his first one lands as so. As Maryville has tied it back up.
And for you stats fans, Kemp entering this contest, give out a guess, Eric. What do we think he's shooting?
Shooting from the free throw line?
Absolutely.
I'm going to say a cool 78.
Add 5 more to that, 83%.
Oh,
so
gracious.
Not the guy you want to see at the line.
Patrick gets shut down in the paint, but that ball's still loose, but Maryville comes down with both hands on it. That's Jamal Ware. Ware has been a quietly dominant guy. He's been able to control the ball very well for the Scots. There's an open avenue, but they're going to kick it back out to Green, who wants three. No good. Here is Patrick. Gets a hand on it. Leaping up is Houston. He'll get it to Patrick. Now the ball gets swept away again. Maryville able to continue this own turnover. Slipped up by Reed Kemp. Ware again able to get that ball. Lions just unable to get the Scots out of their kitchen. To the corner, Green cuts through to the bucket, underhanded, now it's gonna get rebounded by the Lions. Houston able to make the grab, and he goes over to Neville. Hey now, Houston trying to avoid some dodging hands as he goes to Patrick. Lions down by 1 with under 4 left. Javi goes to Patrick, who's under the bucket, goes off the glass and gets the foul, or tries to go off the glass and gets the foul. And that is going to lead us into our under 4 media timeout. Lions have shown a lot of fight to get back to this point, but they still got some work to do. Down by 1, Patrick at the line. When we come back, you're watching Piedmont Lions basketball on YouTube.
Every
Welcome back inside Cave Arena, everybody. Eric Edmondson alongside Simon Johnstone, Peter Sly on the camera to my right. And the Lions will send Dylan Patrick to the line, looking to take the lead back. They're down by 1, 27-26. 3 minutes, 15 seconds left in this first half. And Simon, the Lions have done a good job to roar back.
All right. It's been an impressive defensive effort from both of these teams, but predominantly on Piedmont's side, because we saw in back-to-back possessions, they're defending the ball 3 times over, and twice they've walked away with less than a bucket. So the Lions just doing a really, really good job on the defensive end, making Maryville so uncomfortable, and now on the offensive end, starting to generate some more points.
And get what they give you, and the Lions will take a lead. As Reed Kemp, no good. Kemp usually makes that one in his sleep. Patrick presses his way through, looking to continue the momentum, and yeah! Lions looking to continue to ride the momentum high. They're on top of the wave. Is it cresting yet? As that 3 is knocked down. Now we had a whistle.
And if I understand the motions correctly, it's going to send Kemp to the line on a hold of potentially Neville during the jump shot, likely an attempt to box out. Official call. 3-pointer will still count, of course, and it will be pinned on Neville. So just another foul against him. Just a second, so no concerns of injury just yet, but it is his third personal. But that's just one of those things, controllables, if you will, that you need to eliminate in such a tight contest like this.
Yeah, Neville has gotten into foul trouble really early this season, as he's going to be subbed out for Silas Mulligan. All tied up right now as the man who is shooting north of 80 from the line takes his shot, and it's no good. Bounce pass to Jackson Houston, who's up and through, and no fouls. That was slapped out of his hand. Welcome to the show, freshman.
And he's introduced himself in quite an incredible way. He's got 5 points to his name, but to pair with that 5 rebounds, he's really stepped up in that category to help the Lions.
Mulligan, pair 2 on him, has to kick back out. Now Fisher takes it a little bit north of the key as he will slow down the pace of the game. Hey, Fisher wants net, and he will as he rings it in. Lions continuing the lead. Just a 1-possession game still as Cloninger thought about 3, made a hefty effort at it. Good job by Maryville to split the defense, and they will cut through for a 2. That was nasty by Jamal Ware.
That'd take some serious athleticism and hang time to be able to go up and back under. You're actually trying to finish right side and short arm yourself to the near side, so just incredible ability there. Mulligan
in the paint, has to look for somebody. He's got 15 seconds. Good job to find Fisher Darden. Silas again searching for somebody. Hey, he's got a short comer on the clock, and no foul there as he couldn't hook it up. Reed Kemp, ever dangerous, pushes his way through. Missed the baseline by an inch. Now, Maryville looks some time, and that one's going to be no good. A little bit too much English on that one, as that was followed the bouncing ball right into the hands of the Lions and turned over. Not for 2. And I believe that's a timeout called by Coach Neely's. Good timeout with just a minute left. And Simon, man, we knew this was going to be a heavyweight bout, but maybe not of this, the way it's happening.
Yeah, we hyped this up, likely leading towards a high-scoring affair. Both offenses have just been so comfortable. Both have broken 100 points. Both have consistently broken 90, but today, just 65 points total. And what's been a very slow day at the offense on, oh my goodness, very slow day at the offense on, whatever. On the defensive end, both teams have stepped up tremendously and have provided a ton of pressure, making so many shooters uncomfortable. Like we talked about in our pregame, Reed Kemp, the guy to keep an eye on if you're a Lion on the defensive end. 6 points, 4 of them have come from the free throw line. He's just 1 of 6 from the field. So when the ball is live, they've done a fantastic job shutting down their 24 points per game score. And on the offensive end, like we talked about, we've seen 3-point leader changes for the Lions. Now Dylan Patrick leads it with 8. Javi Marlowe right behind him with 7. And then Fisher Darden as well as Bailey Wiseman and Jackson Houston all with 5. So it's been some serious spread of love on the offensive end for Piedmont.
Hey, the freshman had to come off the bench. And a little bit of a surprise, but he's delivered. That's a huge boon to your team and a huge boon to your coach. As Reed Kemp cuts through, and he will break his dry spell with that one. Patrick kind of searching for somebody or searching for a way to break through this defense. Jackson Houston has to find passing partner. Lions 10 seconds on the shot clock, 20 seconds on the game. 15 over to 3. Houston wants 3, and it's off the back of the iron, rebounded by Reed Kemp. Got to be careful about Reed. He's got some hops to him as he kicks back out to Jamal Ware. Ware, against a bunch of defenders, is able to stay strong, and not sure who called a timeout here. It's going to be Coach Neely who called a timeout, but with 0.9 seconds on the clock, I'm sure he wanted to call that timeout a little bit sooner, but he did it as fast as possible.
I got to give you credit. You brought up Jamal Ware, who's been just such a standout player for the Scots. Been slipping under a lot of radars, including my own in tonight's matchup, but gets another bucket now with 7 points in tonight's contest, and he's utilizing his athletic ability, his shiftiness, if you will. I mean, every time he drives to the lane, you really can't tell which side of the hoop he's finishing on. And just once again, another tough lay-in for Maryville.
And this is a guy who did not start for them. This is a guy coming off the bench. So he's really helping out the bench-wise. But I believe we're still going to have 0.9. The officials went to the side. Oh, we got bumped up 2.5. Okay, I was wondering because they went over to check the game clock from the instant replay manned by our wonderful sports communications crew down there, Danielle Percival and Joseph Garwood, all manning that with some student workers, August Goddard and Paige Kluba. Goddard, a writer on the Roar. Kluba, the chief editor of the Roar. That's the Piedmont newspaper. It takes a village to make this run, and Lions looking for a team performance here. Entering the second half, they got 2 seconds though. Houston trying to throw it up to Javi. Javi's not going to be able to throw that one up. And the Lions are going to enter the half not with a lead, but 36-33, completely manageable. It's a one-possession game. So again, sorry about this. Had a little photo op, fellas. So again, Lions, one-possession game. Not the worst outcome here, but you feel like you could have had more, especially in the back half of that first half.
A couple of missed opportunities here and there for the Lions, especially with a couple of what I would assume to be easier layups for what the Lions have in terms of standards. But Maryville and Lions, like we've talked about, just a fantastic defensive job, just making both teams so uncomfortable. And Piedmont, I think it's going to come down to some outside jump shooting from beyond the arc. 33%. We've seen better marks, but we've seen worse marks, so it's around middle of the average when it comes to them shooting. But overall, 35% from the field, and that's where we start to get concerned. 10 of 29 in the first half, not the efficiency we want to see from Piedmont. Gary Neville's scoreless. Typically, he's good for a couple. So that was Milligan yet to grab a bucket as well. So a couple of players leaving some points on the table. And on the other end, Maryville, like we talked about, Reed Kemp, 8 points. Jamal Ware with 7. He's been that highlight, that star that we've talked about. And it'll be really interesting to see how both teams will scheme coming out of this break, given that now they've seen a half where, well, if you're the Maryville coach, you've seen what Piedmont's bringing against Reed Kemp. You've seen what they're trying to do. And on the other end, the Lions, you've seen this high press defense. You've seen where they're struggling, where they're starting to generate some more offense. So I'm really curious to see if we're going to see a more offensive outburst in the second half, or be more of the same with a defensive battle.
Everything's still up in the air as we head into the locker room and head to our halftime break. Make sure you come on back because, folks, this one is far from decided as two CCS really good teams, not by record, but two CCS heavyweights are facing off in the cave. Be back in about 13 minutes. You're watching Piedmont Lions basketball on YouTube. Welcome back inside Cave Arena, everybody. Eric Evanson alongside Simon Johnstone, Pierce Sly on the camera to my right. And Lions coming out of the locker room, short 3 points, 36-33 the score, but the Lions are notoriously fast out of the locker room.
Piedmont just consistently will explode for these high offense runs. It's very a la Warriors back in their prime days, 15-18, when they would come out and almost drop 30 every third quarter. So Lions not up there with them, but they will generate offense pretty consistently coming out of the break.
Never count them out as both teams are finishing the huddle. And the final 30 tick down. And Lions, I think, we saw a lot from Dylan Patrick. We've seen a lot from Javi Marlowe. I think we need to see some more from Bailey Wiseman, who's been very quiet this evening.
Yeah, Wiseman, 2 of 6 from the field, just that one three-pointer we saw very early. And I think that stands out to me, just 12 minutes on the floor.
We're saving him for the second half.
We did talk about, his not conditioning concerns, but he mentioned himself, he liked to push himself to the limit, sometimes not have enough left in the tank towards the end. So maybe a foresighted decision by Coach Greg Neely to make sure Wiseman's ready to go when we get down to the crucial seconds.
Maryville getting ready to take this one out of the locker room and take this one out into the second half. And for more play-by-play, here's Simon.
We went halvesies. How about that? You and I switching it up. Maryville finally ready to inbound and get what is seeming to be a very exciting conclusion to yet another CCS matchup here in Cave Arena. Morgan works inside, shut down by Mulligan and gets his own rebound. The Lions coming out of the gate strong as always. Wiseman dumps it off to Javi Marlowe, drives inside and off. High off the glass, won't fall, but will send him to the line.
Man, where would the Lions be this evening without Javi Marlowe and his performance tonight?
And to add on top of that, how about Silas Mulligan on the defensive end? We know what he can do. We've seen plays like that before, but first play out of the break, able to do that, my goodness. So Marlowe will head to the free throw line. It is his first trip of tonight's contest. Lions as a unit, I'll hold off on the number right before this free throw, as Eric and I both know how fluent my commentator's curse is, and doesn't matter today, as
Simon.
They are now 9 of 11 from the free throw line. I believe it's roughly 85%, if my numbers are correct.
I don't know, you're probably better than math than I am.
Oof. I'm not going to say, maybe, who knows. Marlowe hoping to make the trip worth it. Second free throw on its way will fall. The Lions do chop the lead now to just 2. And Eric, out of the break, we discussed Reed Kemp pretty heftily in the first half. How do we feel about what the Lions have done to the defensive end and then what they've done to exploit him when the Lions are on offense?
Shooters are going to shoot no matter what, and Reed's still up there in points, but he hasn't been as explosive as, you may traditionally think him to be. So I think the Lions have done a fantastic job in keeping him there. And if you can keep him right where he is at that steady pace, you like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Reed Kemp known for his explosions, but defensively he's going to have some tough work ahead as Silas Mulligan utilizes his strength and frame, able to get a nice layup in. And on the other end, my goodness, Chase Morgan able to muscle through some serious defensive presence by Javi Marlowe. So a couple of back-to-back baskets, keeps the lead at 2. Wiseman now up and inside, easy as you like with the left hand, will tie it up. And we mentioned this, we hypothesized maybe it's going to be a more offensive standard here in the second half. And, well, this is consistently bucket after bucket. I believe that's 4 straight between the two teams, and Reed Kemp gonna head to the line after converting the layup. It's a foul that put many Piedmont fans up in arms. Eric, I don't know if you were able to catch the contact there.
I didn't see the contact. I thought the foul was going to be on Bailey Wiseman. He had, usually when you move that arm in that quick movement like he did, you're going to get hit with a foul. But it was called on Silas Mulligan, which that's his third. So Silas, we credit him with that fantastic defensive play to open the half. Might want to be careful here.
And that's now 2 Lions with 3 fouls, Mulligan as well as Griffin Neville. Wiseman on the other end will draw the foul from beyond the arc.
Yeah, that one pretty obvious from Kobe Franklin, who we haven't seen a lot of tonight after starting. And Franklin's going to walk back to the bench and talk with his coach. But yeah, Bailey puts up that one. A little bit too much contact between him and Mr. Franklin. And you know what? If Bailey Wiseman wants to get hot in this second half, that's going to be a huge boon to this team, as everyone else has been helping him out. Getting there, just waiting for him to get hot, because we know what happens when Bailey Wiseman gets hot.
He is Nothing short of a highlight reel when it comes to catching fire. Wiseman's first free throw did not fall. And he does knock down the second, so still an opportunity to walk away with 2 here from the charity stripe. And yeah, just slow day at the office for Kobe Franklin. Like you mentioned, just 2 points to his name, 1 of 4 personal fouls. And in steps Jamal Ware for the Scots, who, like we've talked about, has really stepped in and filled the shoes of Kobe Franklin. Yeah,
Jamal Ware's having a fantastic game. He's shown a lot of athleticism. He's an ever-present threat anywhere he is on the court.
Roselle dumps inside to Morgan, and Morgan just towering over Wiseman, able to drop in the right hook.
Hey, when you're that tall, you make a lot of things look easy.
Scots continue to maintain a small lead. Nice little down pass there from Marlowe to find the cutting dart in on the back door. And the Lions now finding strides on offense, and it's actually their defense that needs to answer a couple of questions. Number one being Chase Morgan, who shiftily does a couple of spins, falls to the floor, and the referee on the baseline will argue that it was indeed some contact to make Morgan hit the deck.
I don't know if you can call it that clean. Obviously, we're all the way up here. He's down on the floor. He has a better angle, of course. I don't know, but if you can call it that clean right there, it did look like Morgan might have slipped on himself there. He definitely slipped on something. There was no trip. So this is a tough one to call.
Kemp, short mid-range J does fall. So Kemp now getting more than comfortable in Cave Arena after a very inefficient start in the first half. Now up to 13 points in tonight's contest, leading his team. Marlowe, backdoor cutting to Dylan Patrick, who misses the first, but able to one-hand tip in the own miss. And once again, Lions continuing to close out possessions, bucket after bucket for both teams. The Lions 3 for 4 in their last 4 jump shots, and Maryville up until then were 4 of 5. So just pure efficiency on the offensive sides. And well, Eric, we saw a lot of answers on the defensive ends for both teams. Now, do the Lions and Scots need to change what they're doing defensively?
Well, I think both teams kind of had that same mentality. You know, the Lions love to get out of the half and score really fast and see if they can't build a lead. And I think Maryville kind of tried to do the same thing. So both teams, it's kind of like, you know, interlocking fingers. Everyone's getting by, but they're still getting stopped eventually when you run into the hands.
It's an absolutely pure tug of war contest here. Marlowe gets inside once again, draws another foul, and I believe that's team foul number 4 against the Scots. If I may have jumped the gun there, it could still be 3.
And that's important because that's on Jamal Ware. We talked about how much of a presence Ware has been in this game. That's his 3rd.
Marlowe gonna head to the line. We did see him a little bit earlier, just 1 of 2 at the start of the second half. It's about 3 minutes of action here so far. It's about as good of a contest as you could ask for when it comes to the occasion of celebrating the Commissioner's Cup for the men's and overall. And, well, of course, we know the Lions coming into tonight really want to snap a 5-game skid. They want to start to build momentum to the postseason. So Lions didn't need any extra motivation, but continuing to try and make some noise here tonight. First free throw did fall from Marlowe. Second one rattles in and out. Darden goes up and over. Mulligan hits the deck with Ware. And no whistle will be blown, so just a missed free throw for Javi Marlowe. Cloninger dumps it off to Green. Now outside to Ware, who works to the top of the key. Step back fade, no good. And catches it on the floor, does Jamal Ware. Seemingly gravitated towards his hands, and the Lions cannot close out another possession now. Chase Morgan working against Marlowe. Patrick on the double, touches it loose, and many believed it did hit the hands of Chase Morgan. Referee disagrees. So the Scots will retain possession.
Listen, all I'm saying is Morgan literally reached for that ball, then did this. Pulled his hands away like it's a hot fire. Now, traditionally, if you do that.
Morgan having to heave something up, doesn't hit the rim, so it will be a shot clock violation against Maryville. So a good way to recombobulate, if you will, for the Lions.
You know, Simon, I've never heard that. Recombobulate. Well, I guess if you're discombobulating something, eventually something has to recombobulate.
There you go. Mulligan's going to catch it on the wing, picked up by Kemp. Mulligan trying to find Marlowe down low. Instead, Morgan will get a hand on it. So we'll stay Piedmont ball. Dylan Patrick, first Lion in double-digit scoring with 10. Also fairly efficient from the field, 4 of 7. Mulligan inbound to Wiseman. Maryville still with very high pressure. Wiseman got the switch on Morgan, decided to pull from deep beyond the arc, and it will not find the bucket.
Yeah,
so
I feel like Bailey was feeling kind of hot there, at least seeing if he was hot. That's kind of a heat check for a heat check, because when he let go of that ball, he immediately knew. He patted his chest and said, yeah, that's all me.
Now look, we know he's never short of confidence, and that's one of the things that makes him a fantastic shooter. 3 of 8 in tonight's contest, 8 points to his name, and our first media timeout has hit our under 16, so it gives us a chance to try and digest what went from a very slow-paced contest to one that is flying up and down the court. And Eric, my question to you, if you're Piedmont and we're starting to see a lot more efficiency from guys down low like Chase Morgan, do we start to pack the paint and want the Scots to shoot, or do we try and just continue to win this one-on-one matchup between Marlowe and Morgan?
You know, I would agree. I would say that you would pack the paint if you were shooting well on the other end. If you were shooting well from beyond the arc on the other end to contend with the shooters from Maryville. But right now you're just not. You know, giving Chase Morgan that bucket, you never want to give him the bucket first off. But, you know, easing up on that, especially when your top defender against him is Silas Mulligan, who has 3 fouls right now. It seems like the smart play here is just kind of defend the paint, but if Morgan's going to come through, dude's going to come through.
Now, does it change your answer if now you know that the Scots are shooting 2 of 11 from beyond the arc? So it's an inefficient day for Maryville.
That's true. That is very true. But this is a Maryville team that, you know, we were very surprised. Reed Kemp had a very sneaky 8 points to close out the first half. We were expecting a lot more from him. I really, you know, you don't want to leave a stick of dynamite next to an open flame.
Well, we'll have to see if anything does explode in the second half. So far, still tons of tension between these two teams. 45-44, the visiting Scots lead with just under 16 to play. Green with it now on the left wing, gonna dump it low to Morgan. Patrick gonna help with the double team. Now Wiseman having to decide between 2. Green able to capitalize, gets inside, but misses the up and under the layup. Lions coming full head of steam other way, finds a wide open Mulligan beyond the arc, and he's gonna knock it down for 3. And the Lions have reclaimed the lead for the first time in quite some time, Eric.
Yeah, and you know, it's a big night from Silas, and I think he's going to get hit with a foul here again. So, man, it really hurts seeing Silas get hit with that one, because especially after that 3, that is a dampener right there, and he is going to be promptly taken out of this one for Griffin Neville.
And look, Mulligan, like you said, it's tough. 4th foul, just 1 away from fouling out of the game. I'm assuming before that contact, leaving Mulligan out, telling him, hey, I trust you. Coach Neely telling Silas, hey, I believe in you to not draw another foul. I believe in you to shut down Kemp in your capacity, but we cannot get a foul. Instead, it will be his 4th. So Mulligan heads to the bench. Griffin Neville, the one to sub in, who, another name to keep an eye on, has 3 personal fouls for himself. Lions close out a very productive defensive end, and Fisher Darden with a laser floater on the right side drops it in. The Lions now blossom their lead to 4.
Correction here, Simon. It hasn't been changed yet on the scoreboard as well as our stats. We might have gotten our count wrong. It says Mulligan's just at 3 personal fouls. That could be wrong, could be changed, but that is what we're seeing right now, folks.
Well, if that is the case, that would be a very, very big help to the Lions defensive unit. On the other end, Roselle's little step-back floater doesn't hit. Cavarina recognizing the Lions, generating a run. Darden finds an open Patrick, who absorbs the contact against Morgan and does what he just did 2 minutes ago. Missed the layup, catch it and lay it back in for another bucket. Patrick up to 12 points tonight. We know he can fill it up, and he gets a lot of points inside.
And he doesn't quit on a bucket, which is what I love about Patrick.
Morgan down low on the block, picked up by Marlowe. Morgan posted up, trying to utilize the pivot, just goes right up and through Marlowe, and that's where you got to either bring a double team, do something front Morgan maybe, but Chase Morgan having quite a second half.
He is quite physical and quite a presence.
Marlowe with it on the wing, picked up by Morgan. Marlowe able to step through, find an open Patrick beyond the arc, won't fall. Wiseman goes up against Kemp. Nearly got the offensive board. Instead, Scots have numbers coming the other way. Roselle to Kemp. Neville on him now. Kemp gonna try his luck from beyond the arc. Little short there, rebound darted. Here come The Lions full head of steam. Darden, calm step back three, in and out of the rim. Neville, offensive rebound. Got hit and will draw the foul for a second. Thought the referee may have missed it. Instead was just holding on, I suppose, for dramatic effect, as Neville will indeed head to the line for two.
It's a good sign there, especially if you can convert this one, get the two, continue to build that lead. Always good when you can give some points on the floor. And the Lions, that's where they've made a lot of their, if you want to use the expressions, where they made a lot of their dough this year, is the fact that they've been very good from the stripe. And
it's not been the best start from the line here in the second half. They're 9 of 10 going into it, now 12 of 18. So just 3 of 9.
And when you get in that, that mindset where you need to shoot, you need to see the bucket. Maybe the bucket starts looking like it's 10 feet further away when you're at the line. That just takes some time to a little bit slow down.
Lions trying to find what used to be a very consistent spot to get some points at the charity stripe. Instead, leaving 2 on the table did Neville. And on the other end, Chase Morgan once again with a tough finish against a block attempt by Javi Marlowe. Caleb Lesh is checked in for Piedmont. The only substitution, he came in for Bailey Wiseman. Patrick's drive, little too far away from the hoop, unable to get the bucket. And now Roselle trying to push tempo for the Scots. Morgan, pump fake, does get Lesh to bite. Marlowe steps in and draws the charge against Chase Morgan.
Way to take one from the team there.
Lions maintaining the lead up 2 in. Check Silas Mulligan once again, and we've had enough time for the stats to even it out, and we can confirm it is indeed just 3.
Yeah, it's just 3. I'm not
for Silas Mulligan.
Not sure where we got. Maybe we just looked at the number for it swap, but it is 3. Arturo Overton's also going to come into this. We've seen a little bit of Arturo today. Surprisingly enough, haven't seen a lot of Israel Hall.
Yeah, Israel Hall, a bit of a quieter day at the office, just 3 minutes so far in tonight's contest. Maybe it's a fit question like we talked about. First time we've really seen huge minutes from Jackson Houston, the freshman, and he's really filled a role, so maybe it really is just a matchup situation for Israel Hall. But the Lions trying to hold on to this 2-point lead, 12 minutes and about 15 seconds left in regulation. Darden working against Ware, little spin move. In the post now, able to find Mulligan down low. Mulligan against 2, tried to step back and chase, another Scott meets him at the apex. That was Colin Smith. And after a couple of flying bodies, the Scots knotted up at 51 apiece.
Yeah, that was a big man takedown by by the man who's constantly haunting the Lions right now.
Darden with it on the wing. Neville top of the key now, picked up by Roselle. Mulligan with it. Skip pass, trying to find Lesh, but really just an unforced error there by Silas Mulligan and the Lions, and we've reached our second media timeout. Both teams, more so the Lions, definitely need a breather here, Eric, as what seemed like a very fluid game, just 3 turnovers to their name, now with 4 with that errant pass. It's starting to become a little sloppy, a little less cohesive, so utilizing this timeout, I was trying to find it. Utilizing this timeout, what can the Lions come out with to try and solve that issue?
Yeah, if you think that we know about how the Lions are notorious scorers out of the locker room, you know that they know it. So I feel like a little bit of it right now is trying to do too much at one time. It feels like a lot of things are rushed. Feels like they're trying to drive to the bucket, when they still have 18 seconds on the shot clock. They still have a healthy amount. So I feel like maybe slowing things down is the answer here. And of course, the Lions, haven't had a great shooting night from beyond the arc, of course, from the exceptions of Silas Mulligan. So maybe getting some more shooters active, especially Fisher went on a good run there. If you can get the ball to him a little bit more, see if he can heat up a little bit, then it definitely helps out the Lions' case. But I do think they're just trying to do a little bit too much at one time.
And to your point about the 3-point shooting, 5 free throws, 3-point shots have been made out of their 16 attempts, 31% from beyond the arc, but no players hit 2 threes. It has been 5 individual players hitting that 3-pointer, so interesting to see if one shooter does catch fire here for the players in white and green. And on the other end, Maryville just looking to utilize their height, their size as, well, now it's Colin Smith, the man down low, the sophomore out of Statesboro, Georgia. And working down low now is Cloninger, who goes for the left-hand floater. Lesh stays straight up. And Cloninger able to put that one up and through. So Maryville reclaims the lead. Overton to bring the ball up. Marlowe on the elbow. Gives it off to Darden. Darden working against Roselle. Now Smith picks him up on the switch, and we're going to see an offensive foul assessed to Javi Marlowe, likely an illegal screen. And was it a lingering of contact there? I didn't exactly catch it.
It might have been there. You know, no argument from Javi, and usually Javi's pretty animated as so. And now, yeah, I think either we have a clock thing or we're going to look at, we're looking at something.
I'm not entirely sure what the discrepancy is. Maybe clock ran.
Yeah.
It might be the assumption, but we will see 2 substitutions. It'll be Jackson Houston checking back in. And let's take a moment to appreciate what he's done tonight.
Hey, I was about to say, yeah, I mean, look, Houston coming back in, even if, like, he just isn't as effective in the first half, you got to at least see if he's got something else in him in the tank. Because, I mean, I'm sure Maryville didn't expect for the Lions to pull a freshman out of their pocket.
Yeah, and in just 9 minutes of action, he only played half of that first half. 5 points, 6 rebounds, leading the team in that category. We just saw what he did on the defensive end. He's very good at closing out possessions. He can switch 1 through 5. You like to see him down low, and, well, he's going to play the big man alongside Javi Marlowe when it comes to trying to deal with Colin Smith here.
Yeah, and he's no Trip Thompson, but when you're, Trip obviously dealing with something right now, not dressed out. He's rebound-wise, big man-wise, he's kind of the best matchup you got when you look to stature. And
it was indeed a clock discrepancy, so a little bit of time added on in second half. Cloninger works inside, and an express lane opened up from the Piedmont's defense. Easy as you like, able to lay it in for 2. So Maryville now, the ones with a 4-point lead. Lions, well, they've been behind for the majority of the game. Are very used to trying to make a comeback here. Marlowe with it, gonna swing it over to Patrick, who finds Mulligan on the wing. Mulligan resets up top. Marlowe now, high wing, working against Smith. Little step back J, tried to go off of the glass, instead a little too strong, and it will be a missed jumper.
Lions got to be careful here because while there's still a good bit of basketball left to play, you don't want to fall behind in this scenario this early, and especially not give the ball to that guy.
And the one man you don't want to see have any sort of space is Reed Kemp, who knocks down that 3-pointer up to 16 in the game. He's starting to get more and more comfortable as the game goes on, and the Scots lead starts to grow more and more, up to 7 now. 58-51 your score with just under 10 minutes left in regulation. Mulligan working against Kemp now. Nice spin inside. Lots of contact. No whistle blown. Jamal Ware does grab the board and able to dump it off to Kemp. And the Lions are getting inside, Eric. They're just unable to either get to the line or finish that layup.
And that's good defense by Maryville. They're figuring out what they're trying to do, especially with Mulligan, Marlowe, and Patrick. They're trying to force their way in, so they're putting 2 men under the net, and they're going to be tough. And that is not a good sign for Piedmont, especially in the momentum swing they are right now and the deficit they're in. And all of a sudden they're down 10 because Reed Kemp has woken up.
Yeah, he has absolutely come alive after the media timeout. He's now exploded to 19 points, already more than his first half performance. 6 of 11, his efficiency is growing, and well, the Lions are gonna need to figure something out because you also know that the Scots are now gonna recognize that the Lions will press, and they'll look back down low to Smith. So it's really a 3-headed dragon almost that the Lions are going to have to deal with out of this break. We're going to take a quick breather along with both teams to try and see what the Lions can do to come out of this break to start another second half comeback. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back inside Cave Arena. Simon Johnstone joined by Eric Edmondson and our lovely cameraman Peter Sly working alongside us up on this rafter. And well, if you're just joining us for the first time, you would think, oh, Maryville's comfortable. They've had quite a lead. It's really been a tale of two halves within this second half. Israel Hall will knock down a three to cut the lead to 7. But for Piedmont, they took the lead. We're up 4. All of a sudden, Maryville stormed back to take a 10-point lead.
And it's all about Reed Kemp. Reed Kemp, we knew he was the guy to circle coming into this contest. He's a tough guy to manage, and he's all of a sudden woken up. I mean, he's been steady all game, but, you know, he's more effective when he's beyond the arc, and that's exactly what's been happening. Because this one is not in. But I wanted to mention, before we went into break and after we went on a break, and the guy who scored first out of the break for the Lions is Israel Hall. He is a real spark plug. You know, Izzy has had some trouble with ball handling, a lot of bad turnovers for himself, as that is a mountain to overcome right there, but a good job to climb it. But, you know, Hall has had some turnovers, some miscommunication with his teammates, but he's a guy who's out there. He wants to prove himself. He's fast, he's got good hops, and it looks like he came in right in a hot hand.
Hall, a very hungry individual, and Javi Marlowe also coming out of the break well, able to finish a tough left-handed layup to slowly start to chip away at this lead. Now stands at 5, 61-56 your score in Cave Arena.
Yeah, be careful. Chase Morgan's back in this game.
And we know what type of issues he presented to the Lions, able to explode in that second half, now with 12 points in the contest. And the 5 out there for Piedmont right now, Houston, along with Marlowe, Patrick, Hall, running out the 5, Bailey Wiseman. So a very offensively efficient grouping out there for Coach Greg Neely and Piedmont. But defensively, they need to continue to get some stops to chip away at this lead. Wiseman going to give it off to Hall, who finds Marlowe on the elbow. Wiseman going to reset. He's picked up by Roselle. Wiseman got the edge on the left side. Instead, will dump it off to Houston. And Houston, a little unaware of where he may be on the court, is catching the ball out of bounds.
Yeah, it looked like Houston's kind of stepped back to try to catch that one. Just the toe tapped the line. Can't have that. We're going to have another timeout here. And, man, the Lions, just after that first 3 and that, I mean, they scored 5 coming out. They got to figure something out defensively, whether that be using their speed to really jumble the offense for Maryville, or just straight up get back to blocking. It has to be something. You got to slow down this tide if you want to contend in this game, or the lead's going to keep getting away from you.
Well, and look, in Maryville, they're 6 of 7 in their last 7 shots. Like you said, there's got to be some answer to figure something out, and I think, why not try? They did it a little bit in the first half, face guarding Reed Kemp, whether it be Mulligan or Neville or whomever they decide to send out there, and just pack the paint. Force someone else to step up from beyond the arc or outside and see if they can do it and fill the role that Reed Kemp, which the Lions are hoping will finally desert if there's a face guard. So Lions gonna need to try maybe something new. Maryville just continuing to rotate in and out bigs, rotate in and out guys that can work around their star Reed Kemp, who I am fairly confident has not taken a breather in this game, maybe just a bit. And Maryville coming out of the break up 7, 63-56 your score.
Yep, Reed Kemp has played 31 minutes, 31 seconds.
And this is an interesting dynamic here. We referenced this in the pregame. First time we're seeing it tonight, Lions breaking out their 2-1-2 zone and immediately generates a turnover thanks to a Javi Marlowe backhanded grab. So Lions, first zone, first stop. Hall explodes inside, nearly elevated for the jam. Instead, it will stay Piedmont ball. Hey,
Hall does that a lot. He hunts the hoop pretty well. I think sometimes he gets ahead of himself and starts thinking Sports Center. You know, Izzy's a fantastic player. He's a spark plug guy. And you know what? You need that right now.
Houston thought about the shot. Instead, will reset it to Wiseman, who's picked up by Kemp. Hall with it now. Little hesitation, working off the screen set by Marlowe. And a high layup does clink off the front rim, but will fall through. And the Lions back down to trailing by just 5.
Just keep doing that and get a steal here.
Roselle splits the zone, finds Kemp on the wing. Now Ware on the outside. Very efficient ball moving from Maryville. Sets up a wide open Roselle 3 that won't fall. Here comes Houston with pace. Wiseman, open, wing, it's good, and 3 more points for Piedmont.
And here is where the Lions are effective. They're using that speed to keep flashing. Yeah, you can pass around the arc all you want to, but when you got hands in the face, you got so many legs moving around, you can't see anything, and the Lions use their fast break to their advantage, and look at that, they're breaking this offense right now.
Piedmont and Cave Arena getting a second breath as the Lions now trail by just 2 after that electric three-pointer by Bailey Wiseman, and continuing to put pressure on these passes, on these ball handlers, as this 2-on-2 just continues to wreak havoc in the CCS.
Yeah, Malachi Chip coming in for Maryville, number 5.
Cloninger inbounds it to Chip. Chip open three-pointer, and whether it was an issue of miscommunication or maybe a guy you let sit out there, he does knock it down for 3, so lead extends back up to 5. Maryville going to break out into their own 2-on-2 zone. Hall with it on the wing, stops and pops from the mid-range, hits the side of the backboard, and it won't fall. And those are the shots that those zones want you to go for instead of getting inside or an open wing 3. Those tough mid-range where you feel like you have 2 defenders on you is exactly what that zone's designed for. Swing out to Chip. Wiseman now with him. Another swing finds Kemp on the other wing. Skip pass over to Ware. Lions doing a good job covering both ends of the court, but it will leave open a wide open Kyle Cloninger, where it does rattle out from the three-pointer. Houston able to bring it in. Wiseman, full head of steam, elevates up, through, and 1 for Bailey Wiseman.
Wiseman, when he gets in that mode, this is what he does. He's got the head down now. He's locked in. He can run as fast as he needs to, but when he starts keeping that head up after he misses him, look, he's looking for that next gear. Now he's a little bit locked in. He's seeing the net a lot better. He just needs to see 1 go in.
And you said keeps his head down. He quite literally saw red driving to that hoop. He recognized 2 players down there. He said, I'm just going to go up and over both of you. And nice little finesse to let that drop through. Converts the end 1. And now the lead stands at 2 for Maryville.
Yeah, and Bailey clapping his hands, pointing to a teammate. Hey, that's kind of a dangerous thing sometimes, After you hit that big play, you kind of pound the hands, let's go. Sometimes that adrenaline kind of releases. Coach Neely breaking out the skills.
Gotta love a multi-talented coach, eh? Obviously one of the best in the CCS when it comes to his schemes and strategies, and well, he's one heck of a floor cleaner too. Throw that on the resume. Cloninger, the one to bring it up for Maryville. Lions staying in the zone, which has really provided Maryville with a lot of issues so far. Kemp with it now. Hall still trying to just deter Kemp from putting up a shot. Works around 2 defenders and beats 4 of the 5 Lions on the defensive end. Did pretty much everything on that possession and able to find 2.
Yeah, I was going to say sometimes a talented player just beats you, and that's exactly what happened there with Reed Kemp.
21 points now for Reed Kemp. He is 9 ahead of Chase Morgan, who is second on their team in scoring with 12. On the other side, Wiseman leads the team with 14 points. He's really stepped up in the efficiency column. 5 of 10 from the field, 2 of 3 beyond the arc. Dylan Patrick joins him in double digits, as well as Javi Marlowe. Patrick with 12, Marlowe with 11. And Eric, we hinted at maybe there's a chance we start to get some fireworks, a lot more highlight plays, and we've definitely seen that here in the second half.
Yeah, that first half, you said to me off air, you said maybe we're not done with the 90s. That was very much a 90s basketball game first half. Now the second one, we're seeing a lot of more jumpers, a lot more, I don't want to call it desperation, what do I want to call it, Simon? A lot more acceleration between both squads. They're moving at a very fast pace, and this has been it since they come out of the locker room. And again, I think they both had the same exact game plan, which is why when they came out of the locker room the first time, they started just trading back and forth, and all of it just looked like, okay, whoever scores first is going to be the winner here.
And this has all the makings of a serious late-night thriller here on a Tuesday evening in Demarest. Lions trailing by 4, now just under 5 minutes of regulation. Wiseman going to continue to see if he's hot. Three-pointer just a little bit short. And Ware the one to bring the rebound in.
Yeah, pure heat check there from Bailey.
Cloninger going to dump it off to Kemp. Looks inside to Roselle, and Morgan met at the apex by Javi Marlowe. Lions now with numbers. Hall steps up, elevates and throws it down.
and Cave Arena has absolutely exploded as the Lions cut the lead to 2.
There's that Israel Hall, that Sports Center moment. That's what he craves. That's what gets him hot.
And Jamal Ware going to be caught out of bounds. Turnover Maryville, and Cave Arena starting to get some thunderous noise generated.
This is what the Lions do. They are, if you want to say it, they're momentum merchants. You don't want the momentum in their corner because they can run away. They sprint and they don't stop. Run, Forrest, run.
Maryville goes back to a man defense. Marlowe picked up by 2, recognizes it, finds Hall, great hands to catch it, and knocks down another three-pointer.
I knew when he got that pass, he was thinking 3, and he was going to be good for it.
And we talked about the limited day for Israel Hall in the first half. It's been anything but in the second. Back-to-back highlight plays for the sophomore. Foul will be assessed to Bailey Wiseman. That will be against, or for Reed Kemp, but we will see a timeout be called, and the Lions, in the heat of all of this emotion, this thrilling contest, have reclaimed the lead in under 4 minutes left in regulation. 69-68, your score in Cave Arena. And Eric, wow, what a last minute and change for Piedmont.
If you think there was a lot of action at last minute, buddy, these last 4 minutes, they are going to be the longest ones you've seen in a minute.
It has all the makings, like we said. Something tremendous could happen. We've seen some incredible moments. We saw the scoring record be broken last year, 122 points put up against Warren Wilson. But we will see in Cave Arena this Saturday for Senior Day, which will be joined by, or called by, you and I, Eric. So, or me and you. There it is.
I don't know.
It's me and you. You gotta, anyway. Back to what's far more important, which is tonight's contest. And not only, like we talked about, would this be big in terms of momentum, in terms of, making their way to the postseason for Piedmont, but it's a statement to the CCS. Because look, Maryville, like we said, 5-1. One other loss in conference outside of Bellhaven. Every other team has a loss in the CCS. So it is a tight team, and we know the Lions, like you talked about, maybe not momentum merchants, but they really utilize everything when they start to feel like they've got it going, right? And if they can utilize this momentum, close this game out, you look ahead, there's a chance for some magic on the road, but they have to take care of business here tonight with their 1 point lead. Maryville looking to continue to try and get back their lead that they've had for the majority of tonight's game. Roselle trying to deal with the zone, skip pass to Kemp, one-handed grab in the corner. Cloninger back to Kemp, his corner 3 won't fall. Will be rebounded by the shooter, Kemp. Lions still in that zone. Patrick, the nuisance inside. Maryville continuing to rotate the ball. Roselle gets to the elbow, finds a wide open Cloninger. His three-pointer short and elevates over the top. Does Jamal Ware, forces the tip, and Roselle will head to the line for 2.
Just can't do that in this scenario. I mentioned it a lot. The Lions were just unable to close out and force something. And it's happened to them multiple times this evening where they've just been unable to get their hands on that ball securely and force a turnover.
Roselle's first free throw will fall, so it'll knot the game up. That's 69 apiece from the line. Maryville 7 of 10. What was an efficient day from the line for Piedmont has turned into a 13 for 20 day at the charity stripe. Both will fall for Roselle. That will allow for Chip to check back in for Maryville. With that, Maryville now reclaims the lead of just 1 with 3 minutes and 10 seconds left in tonight's contest. Patrick, the one to bring it up, finds Marlowe, who's been the facilitator all night. Marlowe against Morgan, hands it off to Wiseman, step back, fade away on the elbow, falls over the outstretched hands of Chase Morgan. And Bailey Wiseman and Israel Hall are seriously catching heat late in the second half. Cloninger able to get out of what's seemingly an insane trap, allowed for an open three-point attempt for Chip, and a missed three-pointer off the hands of, we'll just say an individual basketball player. We're not going to say what color they're wearing. Goes out of bounds, and it will be given to Piedmont.
I might have missed something, but Piedmont might have gotten a break there.
Well, like you said earlier, they have a better view than we do, so maybe there was some touching. Maryville showed a zone. They actually step out of it, go back to man. Marlowe with it now, working against Morgan. Marlowe inside, tried to float it around to Darden, who just checked back in, but instead it'll be a turnover for Piedmont. Chips three-pointer, and he's really starting to try to extend his reign. Back-to-back three-point misses as Cave Arena is going to let him know exactly what the result of his jump shot was.
That was a good job by Fisher there. Let's just let that one bounce out. Gives his team time a little bit to reset instead of continuing to push the envelope.
2 minutes and 10 seconds left in regulation. Darden working against Ware. It's Darden, Marlowe, Wiseman, Patrick, and Hall out there for Piedmont. Marlowe with it, gonna swing it to Fisher Darden, who's working against Jamal Ware. His step back from the elbow, front rim, no good. Wiseman inside for the board, wasn't able to grab it. And a good defensive possession by Maryville. Lions lead 71-70 here. Just a minute 40 left. Good tip by Hall, who's gonna actually draw the foul as well. And
that's gonna put him in the bonus.
And we talk about the zone presence from Piedmont. We didn't see it all night. And all of a sudden is wreaking havoc on these Scots.
Hey, you mentioned Israel Hall's got speed. He's also got hops. He can get up, and he blocked that one down. And he's going to be able to get himself a trip to the line here. That one's on Cloninger.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is our final media timeout. I don't think there was a timeout assessed. No. I may have missed it if that's the case. Regardless, there's a stoppage of play. And just about 100 seconds left. Whew. Lead in terms of difference has not changed, just the number has increased. Still a 1-point game now favoring Piedmont. It's been back and forth for all the last 5 or so minutes. And I don't even know if we can bring enough attention to Israel Hall. We mentioned his muted performance in the first half. We talked about him having 11 minutes in that half. Well, he's got 10 points, 4 of 6 shooting. He's seriously stepped up to the plate here. When he's been sitting out all day, you know, some players get cold, some players may get demotivated. He's like, now's my time, I'm in, I'm ready to go. Let's do this. And he's shown up in the biggest ways possible here on both sides of the floor.
Well, like I said earlier, Izzy earlier in the season had some unfortunate turnovers and some mistakes. And, Izzy's the type of guy, when he does those mistakes, he gets frustrated with himself, so he gets angry. He's saying, man, I know I could do better. Get me out on that court. Let me get a chance to redo it. And something he has struggled with recently is being from the line. What a time it would be to show that he is hungrier than his afflictions.
Hall with a chance to make it a 2-point game. And a substitution took place as well for Piedmont. Jackson Houston going to sub in for Fisher Darden. Likely going off performance so far. And Houston makes good on the substitution, gets the offensive board off the missed free throw, and he himself will head to the line for 2.
Hey, we'll take it. We will take it.
These are big free throws for the freshman. On top of that bad ending to what could have been a simple missed free throw end of possession for Maryville, it actually is Chase Morgan's 4th personal foul, so not only are the Scots closing in on double bonus, but Piedmont just continuously putting their top players of Maryville into foul trouble. Houston goes 1 of 2 from the line, so lead stands at 2. Minute 30 left in regulation. Kemp with it now, Lions staying in that zone. Roselle with it at the top, swings it over to Ware, who finds Kemp opposite wing. Kemp thought about the 3, now doubled. Roselle splits the inside, leaves Kemp open on the wing. His three-pointer short. Offensive board by Roselle, and Lions continuing to leave rebounds on the table, Eric, and a timeout will be called for Maryville.
Yeah, you obviously don't want to leave these rebounds continually. You don't want to leave them on the floor like the Lions unfortunately have been doing. But hey, what's good there is they are continuing to push the envelope. They're continuing to rush Maryville, not giving them a chance to breathe. It's like they're Maryville is Olympic swimmers, or maybe not Olympic swimmers, but the swimmers. And every time they come up for air, there's a board on top of them. It's pushing them back down over and over and over again. They can't get that big breath, that big release, that big separation. that they are so used to getting from beyond the arc. And that's a big credit to the Lions defense that has really shown up after they swapped to the 2-1-2.
And you've been running essentially, it's now a 9-man roster. It's been pretty 8-man for the most part, with a couple of nods here and there from players on the bench. But Lions not gassed. We talked about their conditioning level heading into this matchup, how conditioned they are, how much they're able to run and just keep going, and the Lions showing why that stuff matters. Houston saw the inbound, tips it away, and Patrick the one to reel it in, so an inbounds turnover for Maryville.
My goodness.
Maryville tried to force the backcourt. Instead, Lions now able to get it across. Houston, the one with it, will send it to Patrick to reset the offense. We have reached under a minute in regulation. Lions lead by 2. Timeout called by head coach Greg Neely.
Fantastic timeout right there. You know, you saw a little bit of locking up there with the Lions on the fast break. It shows that Maryville, got set on the fast break. They were ready for it. So the Lions are going to come out and they're going to be able to control the ball where they want it to go. And under a minute, 2 points, you have to put something on the board here. I don't know how you do it. If it's a 3, a 2, a free throw, an unknown fourth option that I don't know about, that might not even be in the rules.
Backdoor alley-oop reverse jam by Israel Hall, maybe?
Exactly right. Something of that nature. Something that puts points on the board. You got to make some separation, because like they found out a couple weeks ago, is guys can shoot. It's still a one-possession game. Doesn't matter how pretty the jump shot or the throw is. It's going to make it the bottom of the bucket if you let them get to it. Best thing you can do is take it out of their hands.
Darden checks back in for Houston, so a fairly experienced lineup outside of Israel Hall in for Piedmont. Patrick, the one to bring it up, will find Marlowe on the wing. Screen set by Patrick, gets the switch. Dump down pass was designed to find Hall, and it was a beautifully executed play, but Roselle at the last second for Maryville able to get his hands on it and make Piedmont now have to inbound the ball and get a shot off with just 4 seconds left on the shot clock.
Hey, that's good job by Maryville.
Patrick the one to inbound. Lions gonna have to get a shot off quickly. Patrick looking, trying to find someone. Tried to slip it inside to Marlowe, instead it's a turnover. Maryville comes the other way, just under 40 seconds to go. Went down low to Morgan, reeled in by Cloniger. Now Kemp, top of the key. Lions somehow able to find themselves in the zone. Great defensive effort by Piedmont, but left open is Cloniger, who dumps it in for 2. Tie game, under 30 seconds left. Shot clock is off. Patrick, the one to bring it up for Piedmont. Maryville set up in man-to-man. Lions can do anything. They just need to get a shot off. All the pressure is against Maryville here. Patrick works inside, Euro steps through, up and in, as he goes right through the teeth of the Maryville defense to get the 2-point lead. Just 2 seconds left. Where's three-pointer? Shocks and sticks a dagger into every fan in Cave Arena, as that make puts the Scots up 1 with .4 remaining in regulation.
Not the first time that has happened to the Lions in Cave Arena. Not the first time that has happened.
And this could be a huge instance, because we saw Reed Kemp as well as Ware make some motions, and well, the fans are right. There's a chance of technicals on the table here for excessive celebration. If that's the case, Lions have a chance to step up to the line and knock down a free throw to tie the game. We don't know what the call is. We're unsure. We're watching the replay right now where the referees are to make an official determination, but what was an absolute cold-blooded shot from Jamal Ware has potentially turned into what can only be described as a bombastic error by the visiting Scots if this technical is assessed by any of their players.
And you know, it's like I said, you gotta take the ball out of the hands of your opponent. You gotta take the ball out of the hands of them, because this happened before with the Lions earlier this season, where they did all they could to get that ball to the bottom of the bucket. They did all they could to score, and then we can call it what it is, just an ugly desperation for a 3, and it lands. And that's exactly what happened. That's now 2 times. That does not happen.
Well, look, the Lions on the offensive end did their job. I mean, that was a beautiful finish by Dylan Patrick. They got the layup to go up 2 again. They did their job. On the other end, like you said, desperation. Maybe it's in him in rhythm. We don't really know, but regardless, we are going to have to wait for the reffing decision based off some reactions from the players on Piedmont as well as Maryville. Doesn't appear to be anything extra assessed after the bucket, which will force the Lions, who are down 1 with 0.8 seconds remaining, to try and find a way to get a shot off and re-steal, if you will, this game away from Maryville.
Yeah, and what Coach Neely's arguing right now is they were already all the way at the NCAA logo right in front of the Lions bench. That's where they celebrated that 3. Now, did they mean to get that far? No, we can be honest there. They didn't mean to. Sometimes the moment overtakes you. But listen, at this stage, you're a collegiate athlete. You're under the same rules as everybody else. And that's what Coach Neely is trying to argue right here. Should the referees make that call, which doesn't look like they're going to.
And that's beautifully spoken. Obviously, no one wants us to, or wants any team to win off of something like that. Now, of course, as a Piedmont fan, you're going to want some things to go your way, but as a result, no technical assessed, so it will fall into the hands of the 5 out there for Piedmont to try and get a shot off and hit likely the shot of early 2025 here. Maryville going to take some extra time with a timeout themselves. Piedmont trying to just identify any way to get something up in 0.8 seconds. The good news is, in 0.8 seconds, you really have a chance to get the ball inbound, turn, and get a shot off. You have enough time to do that with 0.8 seconds remaining, but
you got enough time to do that, not necessarily a shot. You got enough time to turn and think about it, which there can't be a lot of thinking in this scenario. And the Lions, they do a lot. You know, Dylan Patrick did a great job to drive through the paint there. That's how the Lions got that last second score. But the problem is that the Lions, once again, have just been snake bitten by the fact that the other team just makes a heave and a prayer.
And we discussed this as well during our pregame segment, just how many one-possession games have not fallen in favor of the Lions. They get against these top teams, these guys that are a little ahead of them in the conference standings, and they play right with them, even better, some can argue, but the result still stands with them on the losing column because of some last-ditch heroics from their opposition. So Piedmont hoping to rewrite the script here and be the ones to be the heroes here in Cave Arena. Darden's going to inbound. Full man-to-man. It's going to go to Hall. They're going to pump fake and actually switch the inbound, and instead finds the hands of Jamal Ware, and that's going to end tonight's contest between your Piedmont Lions and the Maryville Scots, with the Scots coming into Cave Arena, which can only be described as an absolute thriller tonight. Walk away with a 1-point victory, 75-74, your final score. Yeah, and this is big shades of last time they were here against Covenant. Adam Deininger was covered so heavily in the corner. He throws it up and it just hits the bottom, and that was a guy who was hot. And tonight, a guy who was hot, Jamal Ware, kills the Lions here at home. It's just, you don't make up these endings for the Lions. You do not make these up where you lose by 1 point, by 2 points, where you think if you just had one more second, if you just had a half a more second, you could have been able to finish the job. Too many times that the Lions sang that song this season. And look, final stats, just to highlight some good performances on both ends of the ball. We'll start with Piedmont. Jackson Houston, 6 points, 10 boards, leading the team in the rebounding category. He had quite a performance. Did the freshman Wiseman, 16 points to his name. Dylan Patrick with 14. Marlowe and Hall both also break double digits with 11 and 10 respectively. On the other end for Maryville, Reed Kemp got his if you will. 23 points to his name. He averages 24, so he did his job for Maryville, and the standout performer by far, Jamal Ware, 12 points, 11 boards, and of course the most significant shot of the night, shutting down and breaking all the hearts in Cave Arena. Yeah, and you wonder how many times is this team that battles so hard going to continue to be tested by just the likes of these, by getting beat by the clock or getting just not enough. They tried everything tonight. They laid everything out on them. You hate to hear that phrase after you lose, a heartbreaker, especially at home, but the Lions, I don't think, have anything to be ashamed of tonight. Sometimes just the right guys are hot. Any given night, anything can happen. And tonight, the Lions just were unable to come out victorious. You're absolutely right. If you're a fan of basketball, you couldn't have asked for a better game. But, of course, any Piedmont faithful knows that's going to be one that'll take a while to digest. Well, Lions will have a little bit of time until their next contest. They'll take on Warren Wilson at home. That'll be at 4 p.m. for their senior day. And, well, they have a good opportunity to get themselves back in the win column. It's now a 6-game skid. They fall to 2-7 in conference, 9-12 overall. But Warren Wilson, Piedmont, we'll just say, have had their number in years prior. So maybe Lions can right the ship here on Saturday and head into the very end of the season with some good momentum. Well, Eric, I think that's going to cap off what, well, has been a devastating night here in Cave Arena. An exciting one, but ultimately devastating. We thank you all for tuning in to tonight's broadcast. For Eric Edmondson, Peter Sly on the camera, Daniel Percival, and Joe Garwood, and everyone else in the amazing crew down on the floor. This is Simon Johnston saying, I hope you have a good night, and go Lions.